Hello everyone, and welcome to another reading, to another monthly reading of the month of November 2019. This month it's quite, I would say, particularly, and in a way it feels kind of a challenging month in a way that we are, let's say, forced to use a term, I don't know what other word to choose. We are forced to look deeper at our shadow self. We are forced to look at that not only in our personal life, but we are forced because it is also reflected back to us, to what we see outside in the world. And even the cards, of course, this month are showing us that huge focus on looking at the shadow self. And this is not a bad thing, of course. It can be challenging because we are not used to that, because in times of these, in these patriarchal times, let's say, we are used to only look at what is, or we are used to deny anything that could be feeling like dark, even if it's not necessarily something evil or bad, but it's just the denial of love and the focus on fear. So we are just sometimes not allowing us to feel what we are meant to feel in that moment, what we are actually feeling in that moment, and replacing that for a facade of whatever, or I'm fine, or things are okay, or whatever. So it depends also when you're where you're growing, in what country, what kind of culture. Some are more open for feelings and emotions, some others less. So that creates kind of a difference of perception in regards to the shadow self. But then it becomes also in other it expresses in different ways, right? So maybe I'm babbling a bit, but the point being that either way, no matter what kind of aspect of you you regard as a shadow, they will be showing up for us this month more evidently and more forcefully, probably. And what we are being asked here this month is to really be open to see it, to really be patient also, to listen to what is really going on behind the appearance of a shadow. So maybe someone comes to you in a very angry way, maybe someone is really acting very out of his mind in a very angry way, or maybe just talks to you in that way, and you're kind of put off by that. It doesn't mean that you have to just stand that, but it means that probably you, if you can, you are asked not to react on that, and to even go beyond that and be patient, and to kind of try to find patience, because this thing about patience is not about endurance. It's more about being able to go beyond the appearance and just listen to what's going on, and try to see behind, past that first emotional reaction probably of the other person, or even if your own reaction. So this patience is also asked to have patience with ourselves, with our reactions, with our moods, with our swings, mood swings in this month, because probably we will experience some ups and some downs, and this is part of when what shows when there's a shadow kind of coming up, and you know, there's kind of this emotional purge, and you kind of feel that emotion, so that you can actually see what is behind that emotion. What is a part of you, or what is that aspect of you that you are still to accept, or you're still to love, because that part of you which is coming up so forcefully probably is something that you have been ignoring for a long time, and we have been ignoring for a long time. So we are asked to look for that shadow self, to look at that. It doesn't mean that we have to chase shadows, but we have to be just open for them when they come in this month. And it's really about connecting deeper to these parts of ourselves so that we can actually transform that. And that comes in the second card. So the first card this month is Noon, and it's all of what I have already spoken in the beginning. It is really about patience, having patience in the phasing of our shadow self. So it's more about having also the courage of just facing those shadows. And again, we are left almost no choice, because either we see it in ourselves this time, or we see it outside in the world playing in the large scale. So we are going to see it anyway, and we have to be. This is not meant to create any fear, but just to create some awareness. And actually, it's through this awareness that we are going to transform these wounds, these shadow parts of ourselves, because it's really just parts of us that we have, as I said, ignored, put aside, that we just kept hidden under the carpet just because we didn't want to look at them at the point where those issues probably happened. So Noon is asking us for that, to look at that and to have the patience with ourselves and with other people, to listen and to, especially to feel what's behind, because sometimes when you listen, you're just going to listen to the mental part of that person, but when you're feeling, you'll probably be feeling intuitively what's going on beyond what's the first reaction that this person is giving you. So that's where patience comes in, just to have patience to actually filter through your intuition what's going on really with the person or with yourself. So maybe one day I wake up moody, and I'm super moody about whatever, and I'm just going on the whole day with this very sad looking in my face, and I'm maybe not having the patience to have a look at that, or really come with me and say, okay, what's going on? Or really being a parent to yourself, let's say, or parenting yourself into discovering what's going on really deep down the facade of the moodiness. So this is what the first card is about, and which is also the general view of the month, kind of the general energy of the month. Of course, we are talking just about one aspect. Of course, the whole month is not going to be all about that, but this is, let's say, when I connect with these energies, I am asking always to show us something that we can work with that will help us to align with the energy of the new earth, that will help us to go through, to align ourselves with the energy of the new earth. If you have heard of this, of the new earth, the golden earth, the new paradigm, a new step in evolution. So this is the intention behind this, and what I ask for you and for me, of course, because we are all part of this. The second card is actually very amazing. The second card is how are we going to do this, right? Although the first card is already giving away some tips about it, the second card is more about like how are we being suggested to do this. And the second card is actually Noon Final. And Noon Final is about the same, of course, energy of Noon, but it's telling us to kind of go one step farther, and it's also telling us that this is a final cycle. This is kind of a cycle that completes itself. So we are really talking about a deep transformation, and I know I've been talking about this for quite some time now, but and of course it's going to be something that is playing out in many months through the years, but there's sometimes like a little more focus on that than others. So in this time it's talking about a deep transformation that is taking place through accepting and really loving so much this shadow part of ourselves that it really becomes light. And I really love that part. I mean, this phrase comes from the Tarot of Marie-Elia in French, and I mean, roughly translated is something like that, that the shadow has been loved so much that it has turned into clarity. So this is really the process of transmutation, of transformation, that we are asked to apply this month. So it's really, let's say that in the last 10 years we were just learning the principles of spirituality, and we could have even applied some of those principles in our lives, but now it's really like full on. You have to apply them, you have to put into practice all of those things that you have learned, because we have no choice. Let's say that we are really kind of forced to do that in order to grow, and we are really asked to love those parts of ourselves that we are not loving, that we are ignoring. And if you don't know what's really that part of yourself that you are not loving or you're not accepting, well, you can either look at what you judge about yourself normally, or you can just wait and observe your emotions and see what comes up this month for you. And so we are asked to do that, to really embrace these shadow parts of ourselves. Finally, the third card is showing us what we are going to, what is the gift, let's say, of that process? What is it really that we are going to bring to our lives as we go through the process, in this case, of embracing our shadows? And in this case, the card is Shin, and this third card of Shin is talking about a rebirth. Basically, Shin is really a fire. It's really a card that is talking about fire. It's the Prince of Fire. It's really, but it's not the fire. It's not the fire like a physical fire. It's not the fire that is destructive, but it's really a fire that is transforming, and it's asking us, and it's kind of really coming back to what we were saying in the beginning. Is really completing the circle here, and is really telling us about Shin bringing the fire that is needed for the transformation. So we are giving into this fire everything old, everything that was in our shadow self, so that it's being finally transformed, and that we are that we can really move on and really being rebirthed in this process of transformation in the month of November. And it's also very significant that is, of course, the month of Scorpio, the astrological sign of Scorpio, which is always related to the rebirth, to the process of rebirthing. And really, the process of rebirthing, processing through the fire of transmutation, that we can give life, or give a new life, and be really renewed by the end of this month. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you have enjoyed this. And if you want to know more about me and about what I do, you can look at the description for the link to my website and individual sessions for readings and everything else. And also for my podcast that I do right now is bi-weekly. So I hope to see you there. Thank you very much for joining me, and I see you next time. Bye-bye.